In the endless black of space, the Viridian Empire's outer sectors usually lay quiet, calm and orderly, every planet, every station. And every ship moved according to strict schedules, but today, something unusual flickered across the central command monitors. A small blip appeared, drifting slowly into the Empire's territory. At first, Lieutenant Corrin thought it was a sensor error. He squinted at the readings, tapping the console again and again. "No, this isn't a glitch," he muttered. The signal was real, steady, and moving closer to the inner colonies. The ship had no markings, no registry number, nothing that could identify it. It wasn't responding to the automatic hails the system sent out. The crew around Corrin exchanged uneasy glances. The silence from the intruder was deafening, almost mocking. Captain Rel's boots clanged against the deck as she strode to the command console. "Show me that blip," she demanded, her eyes narrowing. The screen zoomed in, revealing a sleek ship unlike any the Empire had built. Its surface shimmered faintly, reflecting the distant stars. No weapon mounts, no visible crew compartments. Nothing familiar. That ship isn't ours? Corrin whispered, almost afraid to speak aloud. Rel's jaw tightened. "Then whose is it?" she asked, though she feared there was no answer. The command room grew tense, a heavy air of fear settling over everyone. They tried sending repeated hails, coded signals, even warning pulses, but the intruder ignored every attempt. Moving steadily forward, as if guided by its own will, the ship's engines glowed with a strange, soft blue light. Sensors couldn't detect its power source, nor its speed, which exceeded the fastest Empire vessels. "Prepare interceptors," Rel ordered. "We need to know what we're dealing with," squadrons scrambled, their engines roaring as they approached the unknown vessel. Missiles were launched, energy beams fired, and tractor beams activated, yet the ship weaved through every attack. Untouchable, silent, calm, no alarms triggered within the vessel. No evasive maneuvers were detected. It moved like a ghost, almost as if it could predict the Empire fleet's every move. Corrin could feel his hands shaking as he typed into the targeting system. "It shouldn't be possible," he muttered. "Nothing in our records can move like this." Rel's voice cut through the tension, sharp and commanding. "Focus, people. We can't let fear control us." But even as she spoke, doubt crept into her mind. What kind of ship could move through their territory, ignore their fleet, and refuse to respond? Rumors began to spread over the communications channels. Some whispered about rogue human vessels, thought to have vanished centuries ago. Others speculated about alien craft or forbidden technology. The crew felt the weight of history pressing down on them. They were facing something unknown, unstoppable and terrifying, and still. The intruder continued its path, straight toward the capital cluster. Every second that passed made the Empire's officers more anxious. The capital planets would see it next, and no one knew what it intended. Rel slammed her fist against the console. "Keep trying every method we have. Nothing else matters until we know what that ship wants." And in the cold darkness of space, the silent intruder glided forward, oblivious to the Empire's fear, ignoring every warning. It was not just a ship, it was a statement, a mystery that refused to be solved. The Empire had never encountered such a thing before, and deep down, everyone on the command deck knew one truth: this was only the beginning. The Viridian Empire fleet roared to life as Fleet Admiral Sorn issued orders. Hundreds of ships scrambled from hangars and orbital stations, engines flaring as they moved to intercept. Every vessel was armed to the teeth, carrying the latest pulse cannons, tractor beams, and missile arrays. But the mysterious ship remained ahead, smooth and untouchable. It moved through their formation like water slipping through fingers. No sensor lock, no impact, no trace of weakness. Lieutenant Corrin's hands flew over the controls, trying every combination of targeting codes. Missiles away, he called, as dozens of warheads surged toward the intruder. The crew watched the display in stunned silence. One by one, the missiles slowed, stopped, and disintegrated without a single explosion. Energy beams fizzled into nothing when they struck its hull. Even tractor beams bent and snapped as if the ship was protected by an invisible shield. A young weapons officer whispered, "It shouldn't even be possible." The captain's voice cut through the tension, calm but firm. "Keep trying. Every system, every weapon. Don't give up." But doubt had already settled in the command room. Thick and heavy, the fleet tried flanking maneuvers, pincer attacks, even kamikaze intercepts. Nothing worked. The ship continued its path toward the core worlds. It did not fire, it did not change course, it simply moved forward. The Empire had never seen anything like it. Rumors over coms grew. Whispers of human ghost fleets lost for centuries. Stories of rogue pilots who defied empires. Some even claimed it was alive. Not a ship, but a being that had taken the form of a vessel. Captain Rel refused to let fear take hold. "We are the Viridian Empire," she reminded the crew. "No ship can move through our space unchallenged." But even as she spoke, the ship moved with uncanny precision. Every interception, every blockade, failed before they even began. It was as if the intruder knew the Empire's tactics before they executed them. Corrin shivered as he studied the readouts. No engines matched its speed. No shields could explain its resilience. Even the oldest officers in the fleet whispered prayers to gods they did not believe in. The distant planets watched as the chase unfolded. Colonies sending up anxious signals, some began evacuations, while others sent desperate pleas for aid. The Empire's council debated furiously in the capital. Some urged retreat, claiming the intruder was too advanced. Others demanded extreme measures, weapons of mass destruction ready to fire. Rel ignored the debates, focusing on the immediate threat. She ordered continuous pursuit, careful formation, and maximum alert. Hours passed, yet the intruder never tired, never faltered. It moved as if guided by a single purpose. Corrin finally spoke, voice barely audible. "It's not attacking, it's just going forward." The room fell silent, the fleet frozen in fear and awe. No one could predict what it would do when it reached the capital. And that thought alone made every officer realize the Empire's control was slipping. The silent intruder was rewriting the rules. It was no longer just a ship, it was a message, a warning that humans, lost and forgotten by time, were still powerful. And the Empire had no idea how to stop them. The fleet followed the silent intruder for hours. Every pilot tense, every officer alert. And then, finally, a breakthrough came, small but shocking. A lone reconnaissance drone managed to attach itself to the ship's hull. The feed returned visuals that made the entire command deck fall silent. The interior of the ship was unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. Walls shimmered with strange energy conduits that pulsed softly. Floors glowed faintly, as if alive, and in the center of the vessel, a single figure stood, calm, tall, and human. No weapons, no uniform, no visible crew. Just a solitary human being. "Impossible," muttered Dr. Vera. "The Empire's chief scientist. Humans shouldn't even exist here." The humanoid figure moved slowly, almost deliberately. Sensors inside the ship responded as if the being itself controlled everything. Tractor beams, locks, and targeting systems on the Empire fleet began to fail one by one. Every pilot felt their controls stutter, engines stutter, and weapons go dead. The voice of a young pilot came trembling over comms. It's like it's alive." Rel's hands gripped the console tightly. Focus, people. We need to know its intentions. The intruder moved closer to the capital. Ignoring the fleet entirely, it was not aggressive. But its speed, its precision, its presence were enough to terrify. The Empire had trained for invasion, rebellion, even alien attacks. But they were not ready for something that could bypass all defenses without firing a shot. Legends of ancient human battle groups swirled through the command room. Stories thought to be myths, tales of humans capable of feats beyond science. And now, it seemed those legends were real. The humanoid figure raised one hand, not in threat, but as if acknowledging the Empire. Immediately, every targeting system, every weapon lock, every interceptor froze. The fleet realized in horror they could not act against it. Corrin's fingers trembled as he typed frantic commands. But nothing responded. The ship's interior lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Slow and steady, it moved forward, its purpose clear, yet unreadable. The Empire's generals argued, some suggesting evacuation. Others surrender. Rel ignored them all, staring at the screen, mind racing. "We are not ready for this," she whispered. "But we will not run." The human vessel moved with an elegance and power no one could comprehend. Its engines emitted a soft glow, almost like it drew energy from the stars themselves. Every second that passed, the Empire understood more. They were witnessing something extraordinary. Not a weapon, not a conqueror, but a force of will. It was humanity. And it had arrived. The command room was quiet, the weight of history pressing on every officer. For the first time, the Empire understood fear of the unknown. The ship drifted closer to the capital cluster, untouchable, unstoppable, and silent. And in that quiet, tense moment, everyone realized the galaxy had changed forever. Without warning, the intruder's engines flared brighter than any star in the sector. A pulse of energy shot outward, invisible yet devastating. The Empire fleet trembled as shields collapsed. Weapons fizzled, and communications went silent. Ships drifted powerless, some spinning out of control. Others completely immobilized, and yet the intruder did not fire at the colonies. It did not harm the planets or the cities below. Instead, it moved with deadly precision. Targeting only the command vessels, the humanoid figure inside raised a hand. Slow and deliberate, every ship, every system, froze under that silent command. The Empire realized that brute force was useless. They were no longer in control. Panic spread through the capital as governors and generals scrambled to protect themselves. Orders were shouted, warnings screamed. Yet the human vessel ignored them all. It moved like a ghost. Untouchable, unstoppable, every pulse of energy. Every movement seemed intentional, calculated, precise. Lieutenant Corrin could hardly breathe, staring at the monitors. They can control everything. Captain Rel's voice cut through the chaos. Steady but tense. Do not give up. Keep tracking. Keep observing. But even as she spoke, she understood the truth. Humanity had evolved beyond the Empire's understanding. It was not the largest fleet, nor the deadliest weapons. That gave them power. It was intelligence, will, and courage. The humanoid figure moved to the heart of the command cluster. Every system in the capital responded to its presence as if the ship itself commanded obedience. The Empire fleet tried one final maneuver, a coordinated strike from all sides. Missiles, lasers, pulse cannons all fired at once. The human vessel did not even flicker. It passed through the attacks like water through glass. The fleet trembled under the realization they were powerless. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced a force it could not dominate, and that force was human. Rel whispered to her crew, "We underestimated them. Humanity has returned and we were not ready." The intruder moved like a judge, a sentinel, a warning all in one. Its silent presence declared strength without violence. Ships attempted to flee, but even that seemed unnecessary. The human vessel allowed them to move, but only on its terms. The Empire's confidence, built over centuries, began to crumble. Colonies watched in awe, fear, and disbelief as the battle that never happened unfolded. No planet burned, no lives were lost. Yet the message was clear: this was not just a ship. It was a demonstration of human power, and in that moment, the Empire understood a terrifying truth. They were no longer at the top. A single human vessel had thrown their empire into chaos, and humanity, silent and unstoppable, had made its return known. The human vessel finally stopped at the edge of the capital's orbital ring. The fleet, paralyzed for hours, watched silently as the ship hovered without movement. Then a broadcast came through, clear and commanding. The voice was human, deep, calm, and full of authority. It spoke in the old human language, but the Empire's translators converted it instantly. "We do not seek war, but we will not be ignored." The message echoed across every channel. The colonies fell silent, their citizens staring at the sky in awe and fear. The Empire's council sat frozen, mouths open, hearts pounding. No one knew how to respond. The ship did not attack. It did not threaten beyond the words, yet the meaning was undeniable. It was a warning, a lesson, a reminder of human strength. Captain Rel whispered to her crew, "They are beyond anything we imagined." The human figure inside the ship stood motionless, calm, unyielding. Every eye in the fleet felt the weight of centuries of human ingenuity and courage. For a moment, silence ruled the galaxy. Then the ship turned slowly, engines glowing softly, leaving a trail of energy that disabled any pursuit. The Empire could not chase, could not stop, could only watch. It disappeared into the void as suddenly as it had arrived. The capitals and colonies exhaled. Shaken but unharmed, the message had been delivered, and the lesson was clear: humans were not to be underestimated. Corrin stared at the fading sensors. They were here, and now they are gone. Rel nodded. "And they have shown us what we are up against." Across the galaxy, stories would spread of the day a single human ship entered the Empire, of a vessel that could not be stopped, of a species that combined intelligence, courage, and willpower beyond imagination. For the Viridian Empire, life would never be the same. Fear had taken root, humility had been taught, and respect had been earned. Some colonies began to prepare for new alliances, new defenses, realizing the Empire alone was not enough. The human ship had passed through without destroying, without conquering, yet it had reshaped the galaxy in a single, decisive act. In the darkness of space, somewhere far away, humans continued their journey. Unseen, unstoppable, and patient, they did not need empires to recognize them to hold power. They did not need fleets to show strength. Their presence alone was proof enough. The Viridian Empire had learned that the galaxy was bigger, stranger, and more dangerous than they had ever believed, and that a single human ship could be more powerful than the combined might of an entire empire. As the stars returned to calm, the memory of the intruder remained, a reminder of humanity's reach, their courage, and their unyielding will. And the Empire, once so confident, now trembled on the edge of the unknown.